Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we've got another great episode for you guys today. It's going to be a dandy of a time, talking about some highlight breakout players from last year and some absolute busts of players from last year with a little bit of a twist. We're going to dive into that in just a little bit. Wes, how you doing on this lovely Tuesday morning?
I took your advice, and I think all the trollers should as well. Guess what I did since we last spoke, Noah?
I listened to what I told you to do.
I listened to the Jonas Brothers' new album, The
Oh,
Album.
come on, dude.
Dude, it's so fun! Oh my gosh!
It's
I'm like
so
having
good.
a blast the entire time. Yeah,
Yep.
Montana Sky, I think that could be my favorite. I love it. It's such a jam. Yeah, I thank you for recommending it. And so now I want to encourage everyone else watching, go listen to it. It's so freaking fun. Every song.
No,
I really like all the
sponsored.
songs.
Not a sponsor.
Yet.
If they wanted to, Jonas Brothers, if you're fantasy football players and you want to come on Fourth and Troll Fantasy,
go Giants.
Do you think they have a dynasty or a fantasy league they play in altogether?
They probably do. I mean, yeah, I would assume so. I would bet them and their wives and
maybe like crew or wives. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet Sophie Turner is probably fantastic.
Yeah, how do you think we get in there?
Trollers, blast this on the Jonas Brothers and see if they could be a guest and we could all start a league together.
Yeah.
That's my strategy.
Fourth and Troll X Jonas Brothers Fantasy Football League.
That'd be so much fun.
Let's make it happen.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. My wife would be so jealous.
Oh, my girlfriend would be insanely jealous, but
yeah,
whatever. Real quick, and then I want to hear about what's up with you. Who's your favorite Jonas brother?
So I think I'm a Joe girl. I think it's Joe. My wife's first love in her life was Nick, and so he and I have a little bit of beef, but I've also got a soft spot for him. And then Kevin.
That's fair.
Listen, I think
Kevin's the dad.
How you know that you've grown up is when Kevin's your favorite Jonas brother. So that's maybe that's a little, I might be in my Kevin era. I don't know. What about you? Do you have a favorite?
I've always had a man crush on Joe. He's just such a good looking guy. He's cool.
And his fashion. Sense of fashion.
Yeah.
Just
dude.
Freaking
top two buttons are always outfits. Down. It's like it's so always sick. Like this. Yeah. It's a hot guy. Anyway, how are you? What's up with you, Noah?
You just boosted our ratings by like 50%, by the way. Just so
by doing this, I'll just
stick
right
like
there.
This. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back.
Just take it off. Just take it off. Next episode.
Don't get anybody ideas.
Come back next episode to see if Wes takes his shirt off for us. Well, you never know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm doing good, man. I got a new couch this weekend.
Yeah, you did.
So that's exciting. We finally decided that our dream aesthetic couch that we had, we just realized was so uncomfortable, and we decided it was time to just move on from it. So now we have a beautiful big sectional that is deliciously comfortable. And
so happy for you.
And we love it. So we're excited about that. Yeah, it's been a good week. New couch, new Fourth and Troll episode. Here we go. It's a grand old time.
This is fantastic. What a good life update. I feel like we're just sharing how we are, like honestly, with the listeners. This is fun. I enjoy this.
It's like a Fourth and Troll family reunion. It's a good time. Oh. We'll just have to break out like a honey baked ham or something to make it legit. But
done. Giveaway.
Is it ham? Yeah, yeah. Like and comment below for your chance to win a honey baked ham. That's gonna straight to your.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah,
we promise.
I feel like we have to do that now. This is gonna be so funny. Okay, all right. Anyways, if you want a ham, let us know. We'll see what we can figure out. Listen, we got a good show for you guys today. As I said, we're gonna be doing some talk about last year's busts and breakouts. We're gonna do a little twist because we're gonna look into busts from last year that we are buying into this year. Guys that were busts that we think are going to turn it around this year, and breakouts from last year that we're saying we're out. We're done. We're not touching them this year. make sure you, if you haven't already, subscribe. Go to our social medias below. Give us a like and a follow. Ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all of our new content that we put out. But go ahead and just like that video if you haven't done so far. And we're just gonna jump into it. First things first, Wes. Is there anything to talk about in the news, or are you just can we make something up, or?
I don't know. Like, I didn't want to do 2 weeks in a row without anything, so I guess Anthony Richardson looks pretty good in camp. He might. Nice. I don't know. He could be week 1 starter. I don't know. That's
almost like he's the 4th overall pick.
Anyways, yeah, almost. Yeah.
The next part of the episode here. Listen. Yeah. Just disregard. We're gonna talk about busted breakouts. We've each got one bust that we're taking a chance on, breakout that we're staying away from. Go ahead and just listen along here. Let us know what you think. Be ready to comment down below. Wes, start us out though. Quarterback from last year that was a bust that you're buying into. And actually, before I jump into that, I forgot one extra little piece here.
Okay.
You and I, again, like last episode, have not shared these players with each other. So we may have the same player by coincidence, and that's how you know it's a 4th and troll double down. And you just got to buy into whatever we're saying because never been wrong. And if there's 2 of us going in on this unknowingly, even more confidence here. So, Wes, give me the quarterback bust from 2022 that you are buying into in 2023. Let me know who is it.
I really, real quick, like that 4th and troll double down. That's a pretty big deal. Might be a mark my words kind of segment, just in incorporation. Yeah. Well, the quarterback that we're looking, Noah and I were talking, actually, just texting during the week of like, I mean, are there any busts that we even feel like, oh yeah, let's take a shot on them? It's actually feels like the quarterback position is pretty set on who you take and who you don't take. There are only a couple players that are somewhat of a risk. One of those players that I think is a risk that was a bust-ish last season that I think you should take a shot on is Aaron Rodgers. Everything that's in New York spells a much better situation than what he had last year. As we know, Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator for him once again. And as you know, the last 2 seasons he had Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. So we know there is already chemistry there. If you want to read into the fact that Allen Lazard is there as well, great. You think about, no wonder Aaron Rodgers didn't have success. Devontae Adams wasn't there. And like, no offense to Allen Lazard, but he's not it. And Christian Watson was kind of doing something, but Lazard doesn't have to be the primary target because Garrett Wilson is going to be awesome. He's going to be phenomenal. So that makes sense to me why Rodgers had a bad season and why he would have a good season this year. Now, there is the small chance that this is a Russell Wilson situation. I'll just acknowledge that. Just in the world of probability, all right? That could happen. I understand that. But I also want to look real quick at why you can take that shot on Rodgers as far as the ADP goes in your draft strategy, because right now he's 97th overall, according to ESPN. That's late 10th round. And look, if you're someone who waits to get quarterbacks, if you're looking at like Justin Herbert, like everyone else is, all right, maybe you don't get Justin Herbert. You go over there and Rodgers, because if you don't get Herbert, you can get maybe Miles Sanders, as Noah talked about, as an extremely valuable asset in that same ADP. Or you take Calvin Ridley, who's also in that same ADP range that Noah also expressed is a really good pick at that time. If you don't want one of the early quarterbacks like Mahomes or Hurts or Burrow or Josh Allen, then just go get another super talented running back or wide receiver and just wait to get Aaron Rodgers that I think we all feel pretty good is going to be top 15. I think he's the bust that I trust, if you know what I mean.
I like that. Nice. I like that line. That was good. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers, disappointing season last year. For all the reasons that you said, didn't have weapons, was not in a good situation. When Christian Watson finally started being fantasy relevant was when Rodgers was kind of becoming streamable. So he built that connection there. I trust that there's going to be an off season of good things coming from that New York Jets camp. and then he's going to build that rapport. He's already got rapport with Allen Lazard. He's going to build rapport with Brees Hall, with Garrett Wilson, with all the offense, Tyler Conklin, those guys there. Going to be on a solid offense here, and I think Aaron Rodgers is a really solid guy to have a bounce back year. And yeah, I like it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think he's, as you talk about, like the way that he's just enjoying himself in New York, that's a good sign to me too. Like, I just like that he's having fun, even though it is a strange Brett Favre repeat. But anyway, that's the bust that I trust from the quarterback position. Who is someone that you're taking a chance on, Noah?
Yeah, so I wanted to go a little off the rails here. And I could have said Russell Wilson. I'm not even sure if I actually do trust Russell Wilson. I could have said maybe Aaron Rodgers. Would have been a fine point to make. The bust I'm buying in on at the quarterback position this year is Kenny Pickett. And listen, I've got Kenny Pickett. I don't have him being a QB1 in fantasy regards, but I think he could be a solid fantasy quarterback this year. Last year, he was QB 28. Now, again, he didn't play the full season. He missed a game due to concussion, and he came in week 4, halfway through the game, and played that game. So, he missed. He missed some time. But if we look at what he was pacing, excuse me, sorry. If we look at what he was pacing for last year, he was pacing to be top 10 in quarterback rushing attempts last year. And he was pacing for top 5 in quarterback rushing touchdowns. Like he was using his legs a decent amount. I'm not saying 15 rushes a game anywhere like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or anything like that. But he was kind of in Trevor Lawrence territory of how much he was using his legs last year, and I think that's something to take note of. Last year, Pittsburgh was a bottom 10 team in yards per game, bottom 7 in points per game. I believe in Mike Tomlin as a head coach, and I think the team is going to get better. I think they've got a solid chance to do some good work this year. They've got the 8th easiest schedule in this upcoming season. Listen, if you need to get like a backup quarterback or you're waiting a long time on quarterback, something like that, I think Kenny Pickett could be on rosters for potentially for a year 2 breakout. I think he's got the capability to, and rookie quarterbacks don't do too well in fantasy football. Maybe we see a year 2 breakout from Kenny Pickett. I think I'm going to be a little bit in on Kenny Pickett when it comes to fantasy football this year.
I'm happy. I'm happy that you are advocating for big hands Kenny Pickett's, because he is. I was hoping you would do a spit take. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be
just
nice.
All over the les. I like what his future looks like in Pittsburgh, and I think that he has good weapons. It's part of why I liked Brock Purdy as a fantasy option, why it's so easy to draft Tua, because it's like, yeah, he has good options. He has good receivers in Pittsburgh. And if, let's say Najee ends up being a PPR value again, it's just, you could do so much worse than Kenny Pickett. Now, I don't think I wouldn't take him as my starting quarterback, but he would be an absolutely fantastic filler for a bye week, or if there's an injury. I like Pickett. I'm looking forward to seeing how he turns out this year, and I really do think year 3 though, there's a good shot. I think he's on the right trend. I like it, Noah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely it's a shot, but it's a shot. I think I'm worth putting it out there and putting a little bit of chips on the Kenny Pickett pool and just sliding them forward and going, yeah,
sure.
It's not,
sure.
I'm not wagering too much, but it's a risk, and if it pays out, boom, 21 blackjack.
Beauty.
Return 3-2.
Victory Royale.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways, Wes, who was a breakout quarterback last year that you're going, nah, not gonna repeat. No shot. What are we doing here, guys? Who are you gonna talk about here, Wes?
Daniel Jones. I do not think this is going to be the season, at least for fantasy. Maybe they do well and yada yada. This is not the season that Daniel Jones is going to make people happy. Those that follow the money, I'm sorry, I don't think this is it for Daniel Jones. He only scored 20 points, 20 plus points 6 times last year. And he ended up as the QB9 because he rushed for 708 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's not happening again. First of all, they lost 2 offensive linemen. I repeated this about Saquon. It's why I'm a little scared about Saquon. But you stick with Saquon, this is his prove-it year. You think Saquon's going to let Daniel Jones rush 700 yards and have 7 touchdowns? Ain't no way he's doing that. Yeah. And the offense in New York is investing in the passing game because they got Darren Waller and they drafted Jalen Hyatt. Okay, awesome. Daniel Jones was 15th in passing yards. He had 3,200. That's it. He was 21st in passing touchdowns. Daniel Jones had 15 passing touchdowns. If you take away the rushing value because you think Saquon is going to make everyone in New York very happy as the quad father and take over the NFL with his legs, great. I think there's a shot. Either way, Daniel Jones is not going to be fantasy relevant as a passing quarterback. So for that reason, I'm not buying into Daniel Jones. He only made QB 10 or QB 9 as a top 10 player because of rushing. It's not happening again. He's not going to be top 10. He had a great season. I'm happy for him. He got the money. I'm not drafting Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I love it. And I think we need to sound the alarm. Because we got a 4th and troll double down, baby. Yeah, breakout that I'm staying away from this year is Daniel Jones from the New York Giants. I love it. I think I smiled ear to ear as soon as you said it. I was like, yes, I'm so glad we have this here. Yeah, listen, I wrote the same exact stuff you said. Rushing upside was crazy last year. QB9 only threw 15 touchdowns, 120 rushing attempts, 120. And 700 yards. He emerged as the solid guy in fantasy because of his legs. I'm going to say he doesn't return to that 700-yard rushing game. They added the weapons in the passing game. He just signed the big deal. They want to keep him healthy. They're probably going to do less designed quarterback runs. I'm not drafting Daniel Jones, and that's a 4th and troll double down. Stay away from Daniel Jones this year.
Dude, I'm so happy. Wow.
We did it. The pure joy is incredible.
This is the best episode ever.
This is the best episode ever. Wow, what a moment. Listen, just to close it out though, but I agree. Daniel Jones, one QB9 season is not enough for me to go, oh, sign me up. I'm ready for more. It's a one top 10 quarterback season is not enough for that for me. Follow the money if you want to, whatever. I'm excited to beat you in fantasy football if you take Daniel Jones, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Got him.
So, got him. Let's jump over to running backs. Because maybe we'll... My goodness, I have something in my throat.
You want to take a quick... You want to take drink break? You want to... Yeah, I'll just like... Yeah. We go together. Birds of a feather. I actually probably shouldn't sing too much of it, just in case. I just realized we want a sponsorship from Jonas Brothers. I don't want them to copyright. Yeah, I stopped. Not even 3 seconds. All right,
we're done. Good? Anyways, listen. Let's jump to running backs here. Wes, who is a guy that was a big letdown last year, a bust that you are taking the chance on this year in fantasy. Who is it? Let me know.
Yeah, I actually already mentioned him, so I'm happy to say his name again. It's Najee Harris. I drafted him in one of my leagues.
I'm sorry.
I did not make playoffs. Yeah, can you believe it? So it was a major bust because he was RB3 his rookie season. Phenomenal. And he completely met his expectations rookie season as far as the ADP went when people were taking him what they wanted out of him. In fact, I think he excelled. And so it almost felt like a no-brainer. All I said last year was there was one caveat that I thought maybe his talent would overcompensate for the SPDB, the stinky poopy diaper butt offensive line. And it did not, because that was a horrible line. And the Steelers felt it, and they turned it around. And they turned it around actually decently. It wasn't a lot for Najee, but the first 10 weeks, he averaged 7 points a game. That's horrible. The last 8 weeks, 12 points a game. That's also not great, but that's nearly double. That's nearly double what he had.
Better.
But if you want to look into how he changed offensively, is the first 10 weeks, he had 1 rushing touchdown. The last 9 games, he had 6 rushing touchdowns. So he trended in the right direction. But more importantly, that offensive line that was abysmal last year, all the Steelers have done is invest in the offensive line. They acquired 2 linemen in the offseason so far, and they drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. So they know it was an SPDB line. They're trying to change it. Plus, it's another season, and if you look, Kenny Pickett's under center. Big Ben gave Najee Harris an insane PPR value. It was insane. I don't remember exactly how many targets he saw, but it felt like it was 900 targets. It was insane. Yeah. Even if you don't look at the PPR value because you don't think Kenny Pickett is going to throw it to Najee quite as much, just look at what he did in his rookie season. He had 300 fantasy points, but he had 1,200 rushing yards. So he can be a valuable rushing running back as well. We know his potential. We know Najee can be a Saquon. We know he can be a Jonathan Taylor. We know he can be a top 5 running back. And right now he is a late 3rd round, early 4th round. That could be the best value in the end if he does have an offensive line, because we know there is a top 5 upside from Najee Harris. So of all the running backs that busted last season, Najee's the one I trust the most.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think a lot of people forget how injured he actually was to start the year. Yeah. He was dealing with that foot injury in the beginning of the season, and actually how good he ended the year, because the people that drafted him didn't make playoffs. So they didn't experience him in the playoffs, and he did really good throughout the end of the year. Those last 8 games, he was really, really solid. So I like it a lot. I like Najee a lot this year, especially the value you can get on him. He's a guy I'm eyeing for sure. I think it's definitely a good option as far as, if you want to go wide receiver heavy first couple rounds. Like Najee Harris, I don't have any problem making him a feature back on my fantasy team. Like, he doesn't need to be flex territory for me. Like, he can be an RB1 or 2 for me. I'm excited about Najee. It's hard to look at the league and find players that are going to get 300 touches this year, and Najee Harris is one of them. Like, he will be that guy getting all that volume. Like, he is a volume player. So I like it a lot. I'm a big fan, and I would buy back in if I were hesitant from last year.
I like that idea. If you want to take the risk and make Najee your starting running back, your RB1 on your roster, then continue to watch 4th and Troll and do the research like we are and listen about the players like Miles Sanders or, I don't know, Miles Sanders. I mean, it feels like that he's just such... Khalil Herbert, Sanders. I'm going to throw his name out there too. Golly, he could be awesome as well. So anyway, yeah. I'm excited. Let me know who's the bust last year of all the running backs that you're most excited to draft this season, Noah.
Yeah, it's listen, if you tuned in for our week 1 episode, he was my I don't know if he was my stud or if he was my sleeper for week 1, game 1 of the NFL season last year. But it's James Cook, running back from the Buffalo Bills. Going full circle here, guys. I was excited about him week 1. They used good draft capital on him, and then he fumbled on his very first carry. And I was like, well, you suck. You're done. There's no way you're recovering from this. But here's the thing. Wes, last week you shared a stat about Breece Hall, that he was first in yards per carry amongst all running backs with at least 60 carries last year. James Cook, amongst running backs with 90-plus carries last year, first overall amongst all running backs with 90-plus carries last year, 5.7 yards per carry. Listen, I know Damian Harris is there now. He's probably going to vulture some goal line work. Josh Allen's probably going to get some of those goal line rushing touchdowns. But with Devin Singletary gone and 229 opportunities up for grabs, carries plus targets, 229 opportunities up for grabs. I like James Cook a lot to become a solid back for them rushing and in the receiving game. I'm buying in on James Cook this year. Finishes RB 44 last year. I've got him just outside my top 20 running backs this year. I think he's going to be a really, really solid back in fantasy. And you can get him for like a nickel and a fart, pretty much. Like, that's it. Like, it's how much it costs to draft James Cook. Like, that is it. So I'm buying in on James Cook as a guy who's going to be really solid for fantasy football this year.
It's almost like he's a mix of a bust/sleeper pick because nobody's talking about James Cook. I was super excited. So you have to help me with this because I was super excited for James Cook this offseason and to draft him until the Bills then traded for Damien Harris. And I just got a little worried about that. But I don't think he is nearly as good as Devin Singletary. And I know that he was already behind Ramondre Stevenson in New England. So I'm really hoping that Damien Harris is behind James Cook because also those last few weeks in the regular season, James Cook was doing really well. I think he had a couple of receiving opportunities, receiving touchdowns. Yeah, we did. And James Cook did a lot. And I think there is an opportunity. I mean, we were talking about there being the Bills need some kind of rushing attack to help Josh Allen so he doesn't, break some rib or something. James Cook may be that. I'm excited for him. I just got worried about Damien Harris, but if you're buying in, then I can let go of that fear. And let's go take in Dalvin's brother, baby. Let's go ride this. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think I'm more worried. The Bills also signed Latavius Murray to a 1-year deal. I think I'm more worried about Latavius Murray eating into Damien Harris, if you're a Damien Harris truther, than I am about Damien Harris eating into James Cook. James Cook is already above him on the depth chart. So, and Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, the head or the GM of the team, has said they're expecting him to take on a bigger workload this year. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really, really solid outing this year for James Cook. Wes, who is somebody who was friggin' sweet last year that you're just like, bye. No, thank you.
Josh Jacobs. And it's a very short statistic. And I am just going to buy into this because it speaks volumes to me about what has happened to the leading rusher in the NFL over the last 10 years. How many times do you think the leading rusher was even top 10 in fantasy the next year, Noah?
Over the last 10 years?
Last 10 years. Top 10.
I think maybe once.
No, it's twice. It's twice.
Yeah. Was it Todd Gurley and Derrick Henry?
It was Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott once. No. Ezekiel Elliott and Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's the point. That's all I looked at is I just had a gut feeling. I had a bad feeling. Why do I not think Josh Jacobs is going to repeat this? Is because history has shown that over the last 10 years, you look at over the last 20 years, only 6 other times. And we know the league is evolving. Back in the early 2000s and the 2010s, rushing was still a dominant part of the offense. We just talked about it last episode. The running backs are not part of fantasy. They are not even part of offenses as much. Ezekiel Elliott, who was one of the only 2 running backs the last 10 years to be a top 10 running back in fantasy after leading the league in rushing yards, is still not signed. Yeah. Austin Eckler is still on the trade block. Derrick Henry is still on the trade block. This league has really shifted into pass first. And unfortunately, I think the Raiders know that too. They got Jimmy Garoppolo. Say what you want about him, but you just look at Devontae Adams is still there. And if you want to care about any of the rumors, Adams keeps throwing out pictures of him in the old Packers GM and random stuff about his future. It's like, whatever. There's a rumor that Josh Jacobs might hold out for camp. Whatever. If you care about any of that, fine. It's not in our news segment because it's not real news, but it's just this kind of stuff. Running backs that have led the league in rushing rarely make the top 10 the next year. So for that alone is why I'm skipping Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. I can't argue with it. It's. I think he'll still be solid. I think they are going to be dumb to look at last year and go, let's not give you the ball as much. But if he falls outside that top 10, it won't surprise me. And I can't picture him repeating as the rushing leader next year. Do you know off the top of your head, Wes, where you have him finishing?
I do. I'm going to pull that up because I got to figure out where I've got. I don't agree with this anymore, but I had him as RB20, but I don't think he's that low. I think he's closer to 15, maybe higher.
Yeah, probably a high end 2. I would if I had to say, especially because guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson are in the league now, stuff like that. Yeah, no, I'm with it. I think the Raiders organization doesn't really know what they're doing right now, if I'm being honest. And so, if they want to be consistent, they can continue to give him the ball if he doesn't hold out. But I don't see him repeating. We think about some of the absolute monstrous games he had and how he just absolutely just took over games. Maybe that doesn't happen with, maybe a slightly better quarterback there getting the ball out to different people and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't hate it. I think Josh Jacobs is a fine option for no thanks.
Yeah, he's also 16th overall in the ADP. So I'm not just with that stat. It's like, oh, okay.
Overall,
he
is
according
going
to ESPN,
the 206.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I'm not gonna take that shot. Again, it's one of those things that it's like, okay, one good year. We hope for this for the past 4 years, and we finally saw it.
Yeah.
I'm not spending that to get a guy there. So
AJ Brown is after him. AJ Brown is
ridiculous.
After. It's like, yeah.
You're telling me I could get Ramondre Stevenson and AJ Brown? Okay. Yeah, no. I'm good.
But maybe Tom Brady turns it around when he officially is a minority owner over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, who was a breakout last year from the running backs that you are staying away from? No thanks. You can have him. I'm going to win the league.
It's Jamal Williams. He finishes RB13. And then you know why? Because he scored 17 touchdowns, you guys. No chance he does anything close to that this upcoming season. He's going to be on arguably maybe a better offense or just as equal of an offense, but he'll have a lesser role. He's not going to be, he may be a locker room leader, but Dennis Allen doesn't appreciate the grit the same way that Dan Campbell does. And, while there may be some appeal because Alvin Kamara may end up getting suspended for 6 games or whatever it end up may being, I'm thinking it's going to be 6 games if it happens. I don't know. I still don't really buy into it, especially with the addition of Kendre Miller in the draft. I'm out on Jamal Williams. I don't know where his ADP is at right now, but it's probably too high for my liking. So I honestly, within my top 40 running backs, I don't even have him ranked. He finished RB13 and he's going to be outside my top 40 this year. I don't have any interest. 17 touchdowns, guys. That doesn't repeat. That's some people's career year. That will be his career year by far. Like he had surpassed his best career season as far as touchdown goes by week 7. Like he was that's where he was at. Like it's just 17 touchdowns is ridiculous. That's not going to repeat, especially in a new offense. Bye. I'm done. I'm out.
Great. I'm glad you're saying this because I mean it because I think people are looking at, because as you're saying that, I looked up his ADP. Right now, it's very appetizing because he is 103rd overall. So people are like, oh, you kidding me? Okay. Top 50. But here's the thing. People are like, oh, top 15 running back from last year has fallen down to the 11th round. Awesome. This is such a steal. No, reiterate the different offense that this is. Yeah. This is not the same team. They have Derek Carr now. Derek Carr is going to want to prove that the Raiders broke his heart. And they're going to try to do something in a very open division as well. Yeah. And maybe Kamara suspended. Maybe he's not. But there's only what I remember hearing, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but I mean, I'm being recorded, so whatever. It's Alvin Kamara's suspension was only possibly a couple months, and he could come back too. It's like it's not guaranteed that Kamara is totally out from the season. And obviously, no offense to Jamal Williams, but Kamara is more talented. As long as Jamal Williams stays there in the 11th round, I'll be willing to take a shot. But if he goes up, because I think the court date is June, July. It's really close for Alvin Kamara. As soon as that happens, we get the word Jamal Williams' ADP is going to skyrocket. And I want you to remember what Noah said. Don't buy into it. He's not going to be top 15 this year. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem, dude. Listen, let's talk about some wide receivers just to move on, huh? So tell me. Yeah. Was somebody that was SPDB, and you didn't like him at the wide receiver position, and who you're buying back in on this year. Who is that player, Wes?
It's Judge Jerry Jeudy.
I like that.
Yeah, he was pretty much in everyone's eyes a bust, except when you actually look at the wide receivers, and he was wide receiver 22. He had a solid season despite everything that went wrong, and he had actually also, again, a really good finish to the season. So you look at what's happened this offseason, even back before in midway through during the trade deadline last season, he was potentially going to be traded. He was kind of on the trade block. Then the season ended. He wasn't traded. Sean Payton has come in. They've changed the front office a lot. They got rid of Russell Wilson's office too, which is also important. And they gave him a 5th-year option. So they are saying, we're choosing you. We're sticking with you. Noah and I believe that either Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick are likely going to be gone the next couple of weeks, months. They're probably not going to be both on that team with Jeudy. Yeah. And we know that Jerry Jeudy has such excellent potential. We know what he can do. We saw it his rookie season. He missed a lot of time with his injury in 2021, but we know he's good. Don't let Russell Wilson's horrible season in Denver completely contaminate your reputation and perspective on Jerry Jeudy. He is a really good player, and he's 75th overall in the current ADP. Yes. Yeah. That is an easy wide receiver 2 that has a chance to be a surprising wide receiver 1 on some rosters. I'm totally buying back in on Jerry Jeudy.
I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of Jerry Jeudy. I think Sean Payton can do wonderful things, and I hope that Sean Payton turns around the Broncos offense, because I think Jerry Jeudy has a chance to be seriously a top 15 wide receiver this year, and I mean that's probably best case scenario in my eyes. But yeah, if you can, with his ADP, you're probably getting him as your 4th wide receiver taken, if you depending on how you kind of go about it. But that's pretty absurd if you're asking me. So a guy that has that kind of upside going that late is really, really special, and I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, tell me who you like. Who's the bust from last season that you felt? You know, this is another shot, second chance for good old fill in the blank.
Are you ready? I'm ready to be burned again. This person finished wide receiver 117 last year. I've got him as my wide receiver 24 coming into this season. I'm buying back in on Michael Thomas, baby. I'm buying back in on MT. Michael Thomas. Listen, I'm ready for my heart to be broken. I'm ready to be burned. But listen, I know the sample size is small. But through the first 3 weeks, Michael Thomas was pacing for 91 catches, 900 yards and 17 touchdowns, which would have been wide receiver 7 last season. Listen, he got a quarterback upgrade. He's in a role now where he doesn't have to be the top guy. He can play he can play in a defined role behind a young stud Chris Olave. And he's going as the wide receiver 39 right now in the 9th round. Yeah. Listen, small sample size taken into account. I'm back in on Michael Thomas, who would have been a top 7 wide receiver last year. I'm drafting him everywhere. I love it. And also,
wow.
As a shout out, he was just here in Phoenix, Arizona, buying some flowers from a buddy of mine at a flower shop over on Camelback Road. Buddy texted me, he said, just worked with Michael Thomas from the New Orleans Saints. I said, did he have a limp? He said, looked healthy. So I'm buying in. I'm buying back in on Michael Thomas.
From the source.
Give me all the Michael Thomas you can. I love it. I'm excited about it. I know Derek Carr is excited about it. Give me Michael Thomas.
Dude, to quote John Wick, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. It's such a low risk, incredibly high reward. We have been burned for 2 years with what feels like a stupid made up injury. Why not? He's going to be on your bench. You can drop him if he's hurt again. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because if he's great, he's top 10. We know it's so hard. Like you said, the sample size is so small because it feels like we're defending something that doesn't even that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's like we're holding out faith on something that's ridiculous. But
I know pacing for 17 touchdowns is an absurd thing to say. Like I know that's not going to happen. I know that's not the case. But I just want to point out that, listen, he was healthy at the beginning of last year. Beginning of last year, week 1, 8 targets, 5 catches, 57 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was the wide receiver 8. Week 2, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown. He was the wide receiver 18. And then he got hurt. After 5 catches for 49 yards in week 3, finishes the wide receiver 47 with 9.9 fantasy points. It's a small sample size. It is. But when he was there and he was good and he was healthy, he was scoring touchdowns and he was catching the football. He was out there playing ball the way we remembered Michael Thomas. Call him slant boy if you want to. Call him whatever. He's only got one route in his route tree. I don't really care. He was out there playing. He's playing well, and yeah, it's so low risk. Why not? Just go for it, or don't go for it. I'm taking him. He's my guy. Listen, he's my bus that I'm buying back in on, and I'm taking the chance. I'm taking the chance just to see.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. Who are you staying away from at the wide receiver position who was exciting to watch last year, Wes? Who is it?
Duh. Christian Watson.
Oh, okay.
He might be fine. He might be the Packers wide receiver 1 on their team, but ain't no shot I'm taking Christian Watson with Jordan Love. Prove me wrong. Make me eat my words that I doubted all of the Packers and that they're all top 5. Make me regret ever playing against a Packers player in fantasy. I'm not taking Christian Watson. It's obvious. I don't need to spell it out. Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers didn't even really do a ton with Christian Watson. It took 12 games for him to finally get his touchdowns. And most of his points were from 2 games. He had just had he had 47 touchdowns in 8 quarters. So, yeah, Christian Watson, go buy into it. Have fun. Take your shot. I'm going to go have a better team than you. Sorry.
Yeah. Smoke a cigar and enjoy my Michael Thomas. I think it's hard. I think back to last episode, Wes, where you said you see that G and you just shiver. I don't want anyone from that team. It's hard. It's hard to want anybody. There's so many unknowns there. So I back it. Yeah, Christian Watson had a handful of hot games. There's a chance he and Jordan Love develop this rapport, and he's a stud. There's a chance. I don't buy it though. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's there. And I'm out as well. I think Christian Watson is just not worth the hassle. I don't know his ADP for sure, but I'm sure it's too high for me. If I could take him as my 9th wide receiver off the board, sure, whatever. Just after Jamison Crowder, why not? But
dude, his ADP he's the 53rd player right now.
That's like that's a starter. That's a starter in your lineup. You don't take a shot on that. Yeah, I'm out on that. Yeah, I don't like it. No, thank you.
Then for you, who are you also out on? Breakout last year.
I'm out on Zay Jones. Zay Jones is a lot of fun to watch. It was really exciting. It was, big plays from Zay Jones. Some winning weeks from Zay Jones. Zay Jones was awesome. Had a great week in the playoffs. But he's like 4th in line for targets now. And to me, that's like never worth a draft pick, really. So the roller coaster isn't worth riding with him. I mean, I am sure Zay Jones will have 2 weeks this season where he's got 23 fantasy points because he scored on an 80-yard touchdown and he had a few other catches. I'm sure that'll happen a couple times this year, but it's not worth the draft pick for me. So I'm staying away from Zay Jones. He's competing with Calvin Ridley, competing with Christian Kirk. He's competing with Evan Ingram. They supposedly want to get Travis Etienne involved in the passing game more. Like I'm out on Zay Jones, and he was going to be my playoff hero from this past season, and sadly, no more Zay Jones for me. I'm not taking any shares of Zay Jones.
I almost made Christian Kirk my breakout from last year that I almost did as well.
Really? But I buy into it enough because we saw Zay Jones have the good week. So I'm like, okay, Ridley and another receiver can do it. So I was like, I almost made it Christian Kirk because he finished a little higher. It was a little more exciting of a claim to make. But I went for Zay Jones because I still have a little bit of faith in Christian Kirk as well.
Yeah, I think it's much easier for us to answer this question if let's all assume that Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Zay Jones are going to be heavily involved in the passing game. Which two do you think are both going to be top 30? It's not Zay Jones.
Right. Yeah.
And it's fun. I'm glad that he was exciting to watch. He was, I think, my week 1, week 2 waiver wire ad. Was so happy to see him thrive in the postseason and help people to victory and at least get further in the playoffs. But yeah, this is you and I also just doubling down on Calvin Ridley is probably going to be really good. Let's just believe in this. And I hope if you didn't read that article that we linked in the description in the last episode, go check out our last episode. We have the link in there. It's a beautiful article about his return and apology and love for the game of football. And that's also partly why we're like, yes, go Calvin. We love you.
Yeah. Rooting so hard for him. Yeah. No, 100%. I'm definitely excited about it. And so not excited about Zay Jones though. So that's who I'm out on.
True.
Let's go to the end here. The tight end position. Who was a tight end last year who was just poopy, and who's somebody that you're buying back in on, Wes?
Mike Gesicki.
Oh man.
So
it's so painful to even say the name.
We loved him in Miami. In fact, so did Tua in 2021. He was the tight end 8. Okay. So all of you that drafted Mike Gesicki thinking maybe there's an opportunity for him to sneak in a few touchdowns and have a pretty decent year last season, we were all very wrong. Go back one more year, just the year before, when he was pretty much the number 1 option outside of Jalen Waddle. It was tight end 8. He was the 4th most targeted tight end in the NFL behind Zach Ertz and Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. What happened? His name is Tyreek freaking Hill. He showed up in Miami. And the two of them, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, had 1,000 yards. They were incredible. Of course, anybody else is going to be irrelevant in the passing game. But Mike Gesicki is a beast. He's a monster. He is so athletic. And as a Dolphins fan, it's twisting the knife that he happened to go to New England of all teams. I mean, we knew he was leaving Miami. It was good for him. Noah and I threw around together just as fans thinking like, oh, New York, the Giants are probably a pretty good shot for him, but they took Darren Waller. So we were kind of right. They needed a tight end. They got someone. Did not expect New England. There's a little hesitancy about maybe Hunter Henry is going to, they're going to cancel each other out. If anybody knows how to run a 2 tight end set, it's going to be Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
That was a year. That was a year when the two of them were dominating. Yeah. So Juju Smith-Schuster is not going to be a threat to Gesicki or Hunter Henry. Mike Gesicki is probably worth taking if you have also just thrown the white flag and was like, but have Travis Kelce, I just won't even draft a tight end. I consider Mike Gesicki. He is a red zone threat. He is a playmaker, and I think there's a real opportunity for him to surprise the NFL with how much he succeeds in New England.
Yeah. Listen, Dalton Kincaid's turning heads. Oh, he's a tight end, but he's going to play out at wide receiver. Listen, Mike Gesicki walked so that Dalton Kincaid could run. Okay?
Got him.
Mike Gesicki does not line up at the tight end spot. And if you're watching football, you know that the Patriots don't have wide receivers. So, Mike Gesicki could be a serious option for Mac Jones to just rely on every single week. And he's going super late in drafts. So you want to take a shot on somebody if you're just waiting on tight end. You're waiting until the double-digit rounds for tight end. You're just, like Wes said, throwing the white flag. Yeah, Gesicki is not even close to the worst option you could go to. So I think I forgot about that 2021 year where it was just like, oh, Mike Gesicki's incredible. He
didn't have a lot of touchdowns, but he was.
And he is just showing his athleticism. And he is that one touchdown he had against I don't know if that was 2020 or 2021, but it was touchdown against the Chiefs.
2021.
In the end zone.
Yeah.
In the end zone. It was like a beautiful ball. And it was just like, oh my goodness, this duo is going to run the league forever. And then they got Tyreek Hill. So that changed things. But no, Gesicki's a great option there. I love that you brought him up. And he honestly wasn't even someone I was thinking of, but I'm really glad you brought him up because that's somebody on my radar now again. And I'm excited about it. Listen, here's a guy I'm thinking about who finished tight end 35 last year as a rookie. Another one of those rookie tight ends who finished terribly. I've got him as tight end 16 this year. So not a top 10 guy, but he's jumped a lot based off where he finished last year. His name was Jelani Woods from the Indianapolis Colts. You all may remember Jelani Woods from our Week 3 and Week 12 Fluker for Real segment last year when he finished tight end 5 and tight end 2. Well, the flukes of last year are now for reals. I think I'm back in on Jelani Woods. He's officially jumped Mo Alley Cox in that depth chart. And I know, Wes, you're a big Josh Downs believer. But outside of Michael Pittman Jr., there's not much as far as receiving options goes for new rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson. And I don't know if you happen to know the measurables of Jelani Woods. But he's 6 feet 7 inches tall. And he's 253 pounds. Oh, and he runs a 4.61 40-yard dash. So he's an athlete and a freak of nature all in one. Listen, if the tight end breakout happens, it's in year 2. That's when we usually see these tight ends break out. And the tight end is usually a rookie quarterback's best friend. And 19% of Anthony Richardson's completions, 1 in 5, pretty much 1 in 5 of every ball he completed in college last year went to the tight end position when he was playing at Florida last year. I think there's a chance we see a breakout from Jelani Woods. He's a guy I'm excited about in Dynasty. I've been drafting him a bit in Dynasty. And I think he's worth a late flyer in drafts, just sheerly based on everyone was freaking out about Darnell Washington from Georgia coming into the draft and where he was going to get picked at. I think Jelani Woods is a more better athlete, but as far as stature goes, 6'7", 253, and runs a 4.6 40. I think Jelani Woods has a chance to be a safety net here and have some decent weeks in fantasy this year. I've got him just as like a mid-tier tight end too. So if you're waiting on tight ends, Jelani Woods, remember the name. I'm excited about it to watch and see what happens.
There is a chance. There's a chance that he could be fantasy relevant. And that's what I like about us talking about tight ends, because we got to figure out, outside of Kelsey and probably Andrews and maybe Dallas Goedert, who else can we find so that we can save our first round pick and still have value in that position. It's not a hot stat for tight ends that have a rookie quarterback. On average, they finish tight end 24, but I mean, that's also just different. I mean, it's a tight end position. It's not the wide receiver where there is concern for me. But Anthony Richardson is also different because he's a mobile quarterback. And most of these tight ends that I've looked at over the last 10 years, they don't have mobile quarterbacks. So there is that kind of, I mean, you could think of Lamar Jackson. Think about Cam Newton and Greg Olsen. Holy goodness, they were a good duo too. I think Mo Alley-Cox has a little potential to kind of vulture some opportunity, but at the same time, Mo Alley-Cox was in Fluker for Real a couple times as well. So there's something to look into, and I like that. And I do think there is opportunity for someone else to have this safety net, because why is it you think that you and I aren't sold on Michael Pittman? Why are we looking at the other options? I think there's a reason.
I think it's because he's a rookie quarterback. That's what it is for me. I mean, I was higher on Michael Pittman Jr. last year with Matt Ryan, but it's just, there's the potential for Anthony Richardson to be Cam Newton, but there's also potential for Anthony Richardson to complete like less than 50% of his passes in his first year.
To be Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. So maybe, if there's a gargantuan of a human that's like, hey, I'm going to put it in your area and just let me know if you can come down with it, and we'll make it happen. I think it's worth maybe taking a chance on if you're throwing the white flag for tight end. So that's where I'm at with Jelani Woods. It's just
6'7". That's taller than me, dude.
A little bit, yeah.
That's
little bit.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's like taller than this.
That's
it's up there. It's up there. Listen, let's round it out here with the breakout tight end from last year who you're staying away from. Wes, who is it and why? Explain to me. Give me a reason.
I didn't really consider him much of a breakout. I was just really excited for him last year, but then I looked and saw that he was actually tight end 8. And was like, oh, well, he did better than I thought, because I was just super excited for Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears. And then they got DJ Moore, and then they got Robert Tonyan, who I think is good too. And it just doesn't feel, I mean, I'm just sad. I'm just kind of lamenting. Like, there's not much more other than, crap, why'd you have to go and get so many other passing options? Yeah. They were going to be great together. And you even mentioned too that Chase Claypool has an opportunity to be slept on and be a sleeper and make some surprising games and catches and kind of prove himself as a very solid wide receiver too. Or maybe he and DJ Moore compete as the wide receiver 1. I mean, it's like, I think about like Mike Gesicki. Like, why would they get a tight end if they believed in their current one that much? Like, it needs to be a very special player. And I mean, I'm just sad. That's all I'm saying. I was going to get Cole Kmet in like every draft going into this offseason, and then DJ Moore and Robert Tonyan happened, and it was like, forget about it. My season's over. I'm never speaking to Cole again. Oh well, that's it. That's why I'm just out on Cole Kmet. I
was a big Cole Kmet fan coming into the year. I just think, on a very run heavy team, a little too many cooks in the receiving kitchen. I just think it's a little tough, and he'll have his weeks like he did last year, I think, and he'll have those weeks where Justin Fields connects with them for 2 touchdowns. He'll have maybe 1 or 2 of those, but catch him on Fluker for real, because that's where he'll be at.
Anyway, that's all. I'm just sad. Round us out. Finish out the show, Noah. Tell us the tight end breakup from last season that you are letting us know. Help us out. Help us out with the tight end possession. Who do we stay away from?
Yeah. Well, this is delicious to say. Don't even. Actually, go ahead if you want to lose your fantasy league. Go ahead and draft Taysom Hill. Do it. I dare you. I dare you to draft Taysom Hill. Guys, he had 9 catches last year, and he was the tight end 7. 9 catches as the tight end 7. I wonder why. Because their quarterback situation was more unstable than a rocking chair. There you go. That was a good one. Thank you.
Got him.
Got him. Yep. There you go. Listen, it's infuriating that he finishes a tight end 7. 9 catches, guys. So they'd given him that big contract, and then this offseason they were like, oh, so you're not going to be our quarterback. And so we're going to restructure this contract. And now they have less obligation to actually use him because they were paying him so much money last year. Did I mention 9 catches? He had 9 catches, and he was a tight end 7. It's so frustrating. Derek Carr's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston. I just don't see him using him. I don't see the Saints using him the same way they did last year. Late round flyer at best for me. If you really want to go in on him, late round flyer at best. But Taysom Hill can suck an egg, dude. I don't like that guy.
Dude, I almost put down Taysom Hill as my breakout, but I was like, he doesn't really count. I'm not gonna add him.
No,
but
any opportunity I have to just crap on the dude. Yeah, any opportunity I have to crap on him, I'm just gonna take it. So there you go, Taysom Hill, get out of here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have nothing to add. I'm just so what a joyous conclusion to this episode of For the Troll Fantasy.
Listen, if you ever enjoyed an episode more, let me know. Listen, that's gonna do it for the episode. Hope you guys had a great time with us. Tell us in the comments below what you think. Follow us on our social medias. Which bust do you trust? Do you feel good taking Josh Jacobs again? Are you concerned about the 4th and Troll double down Daniel Jones? Who are some of last year's busts that you like, and which breakouts are you staying away from? Let us know below. Make sure you make Teddy the Troll smile by hitting the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave us a like and a comment, and be sure to check us out on our social medias down below. Join us next Tuesday. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.